put the fingers in.
What's good? This is Elton Anderson Jr., and I would like to welcome you all to the Plan B podcast. Yes, Detroit Chopra is no longer with us. We will mourn him. We love Detroit Chopra. And in fact, today's guest is one of my oldest and dearest friends from Detroit. She's not old like that.
I was about to say.
But we've been friends for 30 plus years. So that's what I mean by oldest.
We've been through evolutions and changes. And
we've been through puberty and everything else. So without further ado, I'm just going to get into it. This is Mrs. Amberly Forrestor. And we're just going to get to know her. We're going to talk about Pisces things because we are both Pisces down.
All the way.
Yes,
down.
and we're just going to get into it. This is going to be a super fun episode. I already know it. I'm going to hype it up. It's going to be the funnest episode I've ever done.
Ew,
Amber, what's up, boo?
Hi.
How are you?
I'm so excited to be here with you. You know I love your energy. And anytime we get together, it's just magic.
It's always magic. And speaking of magic, that's going to be like the topic of this episode. I didn't tell you that. But it's going to be, just think of magic as we go through this episode. It's almost midnight. We're in New Jersey in her home. And we are sipping on some rosé.
So let's toast.
Let's cheers
Let's
to
just
that.
start with a bling.
Yes.
Yes.
So Amber, if you guys don't know Amber, she is known as the flow coach. The flow. It's all about the flow.
It is all about the flow.
Tell us about how you came up with this or how that moniker of the flow coach came to you.
Yeah. So, I love that question, right? So, I will say that it's probably rooted in being a Pisces. And as a Pisces, we love to flow. You think of water, you think of fish, we flow through water. And so what I've recognized in life as I've matured is that when I am most powerful, I'm in my flow. I'm not resisting the current. And so when I came in to start studying like positive psychology and getting all these certifications that just kind of supported what I was doing, there is a whole theory of flow in positive psychology that talks about when our challenge and our skills meet, when we can balance between being skillful at something and being challenged by something, that's when our greatest potential is brought out. And so when I think of like me as an African-American woman being from Detroit and the things that I've been challenged with and that I've gone through and the way that I put my skills to use in getting through situations, because I'm always figure it out, because from Detroit, we're going to always figure it out. We're going to hustle our way through it. Hustle our way through it. I said, this is flow. Like, this is what flow really means. So it just resonated with me on different levels. And a part of what I look to bring out in people, I look to help them recognize their strengths, build on them, create the life that they want, and establish their flow so that they can reach their full potential and live to their full expression of self.
I want to get into your business, but not yet.
Not yet. Let's
not yet. I want to get into business. Amber first, because Amber but her business is amazing. She just took like 30 mothers and daughters to Morocco. She works with Harlem School. She works with so many different organizations. So we're going to get to that. But I want you guys to get to know Amber like I know her. And I want to learn something new too, because I know it's coming.
That always happens though. I feel like we always discover new things about each other.
Exactly.
Y'all going to learn something new about Elton too today.
We're going to see, because she thinks she's going to
I'm definitely going to ask him some type of question during this time. It can't be a one-way conversation.
I am ready. The rose got me lit. Hey. So Amber, the thing I want to go to, and this is something that I've came to you earlier about, is your spirituality. You have went through what can only be called an awakening, because I don't remember you quite being into all the things you're into now as we were growing up. And I want to hear about that journey, because it's not like you were out here just thought in the streets or anything like that.
Thought and bopping? What you saying, Elton?
She wasn't no thought and bopping. Amber was always elegance in class. But to be able to talk to you about everything from human design to quantum mechanics and tarot cards and chakra systems, it is just took our friendship to a whole other level, to a deeper level, honestly. So when did you get into, how's your journey with spirituality, and when was your quote unquote spiritual awakening?
Ooh, that's a good question. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to say that it started internally before it was presented externally. Mm-hmm. And so Elton and I went to middle school together.
Yes, Bates Academy,
Detroit, Michigan, West Side, like Jewel tried to fight me on the playground. That's a whole other story. But like, so when I graduated from Bates Academy and went to Country Day School, I got a scholarship to go to an elite private school in the suburbs. And
so proud of you.
But here's where the awakening comes from. It comes from the struggle, right? And so I struggled in my first few years because, as we were kind of talking about earlier before this started, imposter syndrome, self-worth issues. I am here amongst all of these rich white folks, rich Indian folks, rich Asian folks, smart Jewish people. And here I am, this little black girl from Detroit who's in this setting, and I am feeling less than. And I'm recognizing that in order for me to spark something in my soul, my spirit, I needed something outside of me, but what it actually was something inside of me. But how I came to recognize that was through reading. That's when I really took up reading. I recognized that there was a difference between where I was and where I wanted to be, and I needed to get some new thoughts in order to be where I wanted to be. I couldn't get to where I wanted to be with the same mindset that I had. So how was I going to enrich myself? How was I going to level up and start to even have the realizations of what I could bring out of me to be successful like these people who I admired. So I look at the folks in high school as my expanders. They expanded my reality of what could happen for me. But I knew that in order to get from where I was to where I had to be, I needed to put something else inside of me. And so I started reading. I started reading a lot of spiritual books. I read Ayanna Van Zandt. I read Deepak Chopra. I read
like
Wayne
15?
Dyer. At like 15, 16. Shout out to Shahira Stevens, my spiritual godmother, Transforming Love Community in Detroit, non-denominational spiritual community. And she turned me on to some of these things, and I was just soaking it in.
Wayne Dyer is my favorite human being on this plane of existence. But anyway, may he rest in peace. But we'll continue.
May he rest in peace. Yes. So yeah, Wayne Dyer, the Abraham Hicks and Esther Hicks, and literally I got into these things at 16. Marion Williamson used to be the pastor, I don't know how you call it, at Church of Today in Michigan. Marion Williamson, the author of Return to Love and everything. And so I used to go and see her. That was our church when I was in high school. And so I think at a very early age, I had this connection to my spirituality, recognizing that it was something beyond religion, because we were Catholic growing up. Yeah. And it never resonated with me. But when I started to get these universal truths, these truths that go through religions and make so much sense and are empowering and not making you feel guilty about who you are, or they're based on love and not based on fear, it resonated with me.
Yes.
And so it happened for me somewhat early on, but it developed. It's been a constant. I'm still developing. I'm still evolving.
Wow. And I'll be honest, I have a moment of honesty. Like, Amber always intimidated me a little bit. You always intimidated me.
I can't even believe that.
It was this weird thing. It was this weird intimidation because you always carried yourself in this way, in this just, it's a magical way. You just have a magic about you. And I know you're going to say Elton, but you have it too. Which
yes, that's exactly what I was going to say.
I know what you're going to say. And this is the thing that we don't see our own magic.
Is this a Pisces thing?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like more people that are listening to this episode can relate. I never saw my magic because it was hidden under my insecurities. And so because I had the insecurities from when we were in middle school, hiding the gayness, hiding, even dealing with acne, just stupid stuff. It impacted me so much because as a gay man, I was just taught to hide. So I had to hide who I really was. So I didn't want to get to know it. That was the biggest shadow ever. People do shadow work now. And my shadow work was my shadow was a huge part of my personality. So I created an Elton who wasn't authentic, but everybody still liked. And that's so I couldn't see my own magic because I didn't love what was there. I couldn't fully love what was there. You see what I'm saying? So I appreciate it, and you consistently, and a lot of people, everybody tell me, those beautiful things, but it's just in the last 2 years when I went on my spiritual journey, because before 37 years old, I had never heard of Marianne Williamson. I had never read The Secret. I had never heard of Wayne Dyer literally before 2019.
Wow.
So everything that you've been studying since you were 15,
You
I
have
started
been
at
on an
37.
accelerated course for the last couple of years.
Yeah, so
Wow.
that's why, and it's just been like 2 years. Luckily, praise God that I could take 2 years to just truly only work on myself. But it just feels so good to be here. And I think I called you and I was like, Amber, I'm ready finally, because I had this whole vision of acceptance of myself, and you were the first person I thought about. It was so crazy.
That means so much to me.
But Can I
tell you a part of why that means so much to me? I remember, I'm not going to name her. I'm not going to say her name, but I remember before you had come out.
Yeah.
And there was a mutual friend that we had that we also went to school with. And she was wondering if that was the case. Like, if you were, are you gay? Are you straight? Like, what's going on with you? And in my mind, like, I had this protection for you of like, I feel like I've known that you were gay for a very long time. Right. But this is also like a part of my empath and the way that I feel energy. And I was so excited for you to step into your truth that there was something in me that just wanted to wrap my arms around you in that whole experience and go screaming to the mountaintops. like I was like, just say it, just let it out. And I remember your 30th birthday party. I don't remember anything, but I remember your 30th birthday party. And I was just like looking at you and all of your amazing friends. And I'm going like, this is the magic for him. This is the magic. This is how you shine, when you embrace this and when you can really own your truth of who you are in fullness, in full authentic expression of who you are, because I've always thought that you were amazing and that you should never hide behind anything. And so I felt almost, so gay is happy. I felt gay when you came out. I was like, yes! You know what I mean? Because it was like, it was this moment that was just inspiring to me, because I could relate that when we step into our authentic expression, when we step into who we are and we stop caring so much about what other people think about us or what they're going to say about us, that's when the mask comes off. Like that is when we get, like we were talking about imposter syndrome. That's when we stop being imposters and we start owning the effing rooms that we're in. Can I curse? I don't know.
You can curse on here, please. By all means.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, I'm glad. Thank you so much for sharing that part of the story with me, because it's hard, because we are built into this program, and that's what I changed the name of the podcast from Detroit Chopra, which I absolutely love, into Plan B, because Plan A ain't working for a lot of people. If I stuck with Plan A, I would still be a pharmaceutical sales rep at Pfizer, miserable, having panic attacks. You know, a lot of people have panic attacks now. It's crazy. Anyway, having panic attacks, just being miserable. And that thing that's inside of us, inside of everybody, it's just a matter of if you choose to listen to it or not, because it's inside of you too that you're listening. You know your purpose. You know what you really want to do. You know where you really want to live. You know all these things, but we're so stuck in Plan A, into that program, that we're scared to step into our passion. And luckily I stepped into my passion of photography, but then you got to go beyond that into your purpose. And so the scariest thing you can do is to really follow your purpose. That was the scariest thing for me. I don't know about you.
Oh, same here. I mean, can we talk about the fact that I was selling dog collars and apparel?
Let's talk about that.
I mean, they're sitting like right over to the side of us, and I'm not gonna slight that part of my life, because that was a part of my life that I needed. It was all a part of my evolution to bring me to where I was. But I had to sit and say, I don't care that I've been on Shark Tank. I don't care about the investors. I don't care about any of the success of the business that I've had. This is not serving my soul. It is not. I believe our purpose evolves as we do. And so, although I do think it was a part of my purpose in my 20s, because I wanted a part of it was me So I had a dog company called Cane and Couture, y'all. So let me just rewind for a second.
A luxury dog company.
A luxury dog collar and apparel company. Like we got some little collars and apparel.
It was the Dolce and Gabbana of doggy collars. Please respect.
Before there was a Dolce and Gabbana, before dogs were fancy,
all right, now
I made them fancy. Now they're fancy and it's easy. But anyway, and so, at the time, it served my purpose because when I looked at my passions, when I looked at my experience, when I looked at how I could make money and how I could serve the world, this, like the ikigai, as we say, the reason for being, when you are going to discover your purpose, that company served me in so many ways for years when I was a single woman in my 20s. But as I evolved, and as I met my husband and as I had my first child and as life evolved for me, I had to be really courageous and say, this is not for me anymore. And so many people were like, how could you step away from this? Because I was like, but my purpose is pulling me. It's calling me. I can make money or I can go after my calling. And I would be cheating myself if I just went to make money. Yeah. And so I feel you 1,000%. Yeah. I had to ask myself some really, really powerful questions and be really honest with myself, because walking away from a business that was really on the precipice of some great success took a lot out of me. And there were times where I questioned, like, damn, why did I do that? But it feels so good to be on the other side. And I think that when you are walking in your purpose, when you're even walking towards your purpose, things align in your life. Divine order makes itself so obvious that if you're quiet enough to tap in, listen, look, and recognize what's happening, there's no denying it. So for me, there was no denying it. There was no way that I could not form the Quartz Wellness Collective, which is my company now, not start doing personal and professional development, not do coaching and speaking, motivational speaking, and all of the type of programs that I was doing. Ultimately, I recognize how that brought me from a little gritty girl from Detroit into a beautiful home in New Jersey with 2 kids, husband, and this life that I live.
Family, beautiful life.
Which great thing. I don't say that to impress anyone, but I say to impress upon you that I totally recognize that this is all a part of the puzzle. It's all a part of the divine order. And when we really sit still enough and we listen enough to recognize what's going on, it's no denying it. But we try to distract ourselves with all of these things, and we try to chase the wrong things, and we try to, compare ourselves to others and do what they do. But our magic, like you mentioned, everything that we have is right inside of us. We just have to be still enough to listen, tap in, and ask ourselves the questions to get to that.
I really want to, that was a bar, first of all.
Boom, I got that. Bars.
She ate that. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that part, though, the calling, where it'll be, the universe will come, because Paulo Coelho famously wrote, the universe will conspire. And I believe that you have to give the universe something to conspire to. And that is where the more you step into the lane of purpose, the more you follow that calling, the more you are authentic, because that's what this is about. This is being authentically yourself. This is literally stepping into that vibration of your true self, where you're aligned with your heart and your mind. And that's where the flow is. You know what I'm saying? That's where the flow is, and that's where abundance is. And it is so scary because, number one, I know I felt so alone. I felt so alone because I'm like, nobody can understand the signs that I'm seeing. Like, I'm seeing all these signs, and I'm like, who does it? And then what happens is the universe will send you somebody from your tribe, and you'll meet somebody, and you'll be like, oh, you get me. It'd be a total stranger. It'd be a white woman from Australia. You'd be like,
soap and meat. Yeah.
This is
not being the white woman, but I've had the white woman from Australia.
Yeah,
but like,
it'll
wait,
just be.
You were sitting here to tell me this, because God doesn't come down and sit next to us and go, "Hi, I'm God speaking to you, and this is what it is." But that we are given these messages through these different channels.
Yeah. And so the more you see them, I would just tell anybody who's listening, who's feeling like they're seeing them, really look for the lessons in that. I told Amber a story earlier I won't go into, but she was like, how did you find the lesson in that? And you get better at seeing the lessons. You get better at understanding the lessons, like, oh, I'm supposed to learn this. Because there's no wrong decisions. I don't believe that there's anything as a wrong decision. they are just decisions that are meant to teach and decisions that are meant to propel you forward.
And it's just if we have to learn them over and over and over again, because our lesson is going to keep coming back to us, no matter if we don't learn it the first, second, third, or fourth time, it's going to come back the fifth, sixth, and seventh time. Like, did you get it yet?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So since this is a Pisces only episode,
we didn't even get into the Pisces.
we
dipped our toe in it.
We're gonna talk about we're at the 20-minute mark, so we're gonna talk about Pisces. Okay, let's talk. And
let's talk. I'm obsessed with Elton's microphone.
You sound so good too.
Let's talk.
So Amber, two things. Number one, what is the most Pisces thing about you? And number two, what is the hardest part about being a Pisces for you?
Ooh, good questions. Okay, so that came to me immediately when you asked it. So the most Pisces thing about me is my balance. Like some people say that they are black or white, and I exist in the gray area with pride. Like I feel like as a Pisces, as Pisces, we are often concerned with. Can we just talk about how my husband just came downstairs and opened the door?
That's fine. He need to get his suitcase. But go ahead.
Okay. So as Pisces energy, I really feel like I pride myself on my appreciation of duality. And so I am not a black or white person who goes, I'm black and I don't care about white. I am like, I exist in the gray area and I'm okay with that. And as a Pisces, I feel like I can go with the energy that serves me, and not in a way that I'm not being authentic, but just in a way where I'm not resisting.
Yeah.
So I am happy to be, if I want to hang with my intellectual friends, I'm comfortable. If I want to hang with my ratchet friends, I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
If I want to hang with my friends that love to salsa and dance, I'm comfortable. Like I feel like I am very comfortable in different situations in being who I am, because I allow people to be who they are, because I have compassion and understanding for them, and I don't put this black or white lens on.
You don't judge.
I don't judge. Yeah, I'm not very judgmental.
Yeah, I'm like, I get it.
And it's funny because I think people perceive me as being judgmental because of the grace, like the things that you mentioned.
Yeah.
But I don't think that me being me should stop anyone else from being them. I appreciate people for being 100% who they are. Yeah. And I can embrace the parts of me that relate to them when I'm with them. And that's very Pisces, because we're very malleable. And yeah. I feel like that is probably the most Pisces thing about me.
Okay.
The most difficult.
The hardest part of being a Pisces.
The hardest part might be a part of what we touched on earlier, and it's not always recognizing my own greatness or magic. Not always recognizing my own magic. Yeah, I think that there is a part of us as Pisces that we overthink things. Do you feel like you overthink things?
I feel like I overfeel things.
Ooh, that might be even better.
I don't overthink. I overfeel.
That's the
everything.
Sensitivity in us as
Pisces.
My
God, I hate it here.
You said you hate it here.
I hate it here.
So that's probably the hardest part, because we're so sensitive that people can call us overly sensitive, but I think we're also very empathetic, and we feel more than what most people want to give off. And that doesn't always work to our advantage. Sometimes I wish I didn't feel so much. Sometimes I wish I was more oblivious.
But it's harder too for a man, and because I'm supposed to maintain the masculine energy. And so that was the hardest part for me, was being so sensitive and trying to hide it, because I wanted to be, even though I'm already gay, so I wanted to not be a bitch. And so I would overcompensate, and it turned my masculinity toxic because I did not want to touch or have the duality of my feminine side. So it turned me.
But we all do, but there was shame in that for you.
It was so much shame. I dealt with so much shame in every aspect of my life. And it was hard for me to really even accept myself in this spiritual realm. And I would say the most Pisces thing about me is my intuition. I've lived my whole life just following intuition. literally. And anything I wanted to do, I did it. I was like, I want to be state champion in track and field. I want to be, I want to go to FAMU. I want to become an alpha. I want to work for Pfizer. Like literally, I want to become a photographer and shoot celebrities and like anything I wanted to do.
I see that trend for
anything
you.
that I really wanted, that was called to me, that was put on me, was literally, I knew I could do it. Yeah. And so even before I knew what manifestation was, I was always manifesting it unconsciously. Mm-hmm. But because it was my intuition, I know that that's the only thing I can trust. So I think that was the most Pisces thing about me, is that deep, deep down inside, I just knew I could trust myself. Yeah. And so now when I step into this spiritual realm, it's kind of crazy that I don't trust myself. Yeah.
What do you mean? How do you arrive here after doing it so naturally and work against what your flow is?
Because that's where the imposter syndrome is coming in at.
Let's talk about it.
Because with me, I feel like, Amber, I really feel like, and this is the first time I'm saying this on camera. It's not that deep, but I really feel like I am a pawn in the universe's game. I feel like a pawn because this is not what I wanted to do. There was so much resistance between starting a podcast and a video.
Thy will be done.
Listen, it was so much resistance.
We kind of wish to be pawns in certain ways. If you really think about it, if you really think about letting so when we're talking about spirituality, if we talk about a real connection to God and our purpose, thy will be done, surrendering is one of the most radically powerful things that we can do. I want to let you finish your thought, but I just want to say, pause for a minute and say that feeling like a pawn, I don't think, did you, when you said that, did that feel empowering or disempowering for you?
It's neutral. It's just my truth. It's like, Amber, I did not want this. This was not something that I wanted. This is the 100%, 110%, 1,000% a calling, because I did not want to let go of my life as a photographer. I had a TV show. Like, I had commercials. I was literally living the dream life. I had my dream apartment. I had everything that I wanted. So why would I let that go? Like, what?
Why? Yeah. So
why would I let that go?
And for all of the listeners, Elton, why would you let that go?
That was because it was almost like a year ago today, because it was Essence Fest of 2019. Well, 2 years ago to today. And I just got this idea that I needed to leave LA. And I was like, when I go back to LA after Essence Fest, I'm going to pack up all my shit and give it away. And that was the message. It wasn't anything beyond that. It was like, pack up all your shit and move. And I think what happened is, I talked to Jazz, the Moon Mother, about this. And
Jazz. Oh, I love
check
her.
out that podcast.
Yes,
episode.
Amazing. So powerful.
But we talked about the portal. And you step into that portal into when you start learning about 5D consciousness and right, 5D hit. When you start learning about 5D consciousness and law of one and a miracle? What's that? A Course in Miracles. When you start learning,
sensory, multi-sensory, all of that. Yeah.
You start learning about it from any perspective. Wayne Dyer. Then what happens is, it's like if you have a shirt and you pull a string on it, and then you keep pulling and you keep pulling, and then you unravel. And I unraveled. And so I didn't want to unravel, but here I am.
But it was your breakdown to break through.
Oh, big time. Big time. But yeah, that's the hardest part about, I would say the best part and the hardest part is my intuition, because I can't ignore it.
Yeah. I think that's powerful. Yeah. It's just humbling at times.
Yeah.
And it can throw you for a loop, but it's a good loop, right?
It's an interesting loop. This is the bad part of the loop right now, but
I mean, if this is bad, babe, then you're doing pretty well.
I ain't mad.
This is a bad. Because I am like an influencer who like keeps myself up, looks amazing, lives in Bali, and hangs around Amazing people.
But people have to also understand what I had to let go and what I let go daily to live that life.
So you know what, as a coach, because that's a part of what I do as well, that's one of the powerful questions that I like to ask people. What do you have to let go? We often know, or we can say what we want. Well, here's the most often thing. We often know what we don't want. So then the next question is, what do you want? And then the next question after that is, what do you have to let go of? And I liken it to like, so I have a rug over here. If I spill this wine that we're drinking on the rug and I go to clean it up, I could just put cleaner on top of the wine. But what I really need to do is soak up the mess before I put the cleaner on top of it. And what do you let go is soaking up the mess. Like let's clear the mess first before we put everything on top of it. And I think that the spiritual bypassing that we do sometimes in these situations where we have this revelation that we need to evolve, do something different, we want to just so quickly go on to, well, I'm going to pile all this stuff on top of me without the letting go part. And so like, that really resonated with me when you said let go, because I think that's such a powerful stage in our evolution of recognizing, what do I need to let go before I start putting all this goodness on top of it? Like, how do I make my foundation strong? How do I build upon a strong foundation and not just put crap on top of crap, or goodness on top of crap, and in the bottom that like it's all down there festering, you know?
Or sweep it under the rug, and the rug got a big pile of crap, and you're like,
crap under
you don't see that pile under that rug?
Well, the rug looks nice, but lift
that's
it up.
The cute rug. It's Persian, but it's
this is like social media to me. It's like that Persian rug with all that crap under it. Like that's what it is to me.
Yeah,
because I'm like, what's under the rug?
Yes,
I think that's like, as much as that might have been uncomfortable for you, like that's so powerful that.
No, it still is. It still is, and I heal. What I realize about myself is that I heal out loud, and the beautiful messages that people send me are what keep me going. I would say that's the confirmations, and even when you think about like confirmations and affirmations, right? I was thinking to myself that the strongest affirmation is actually action. When you take an inspired action, you are affirming to the universe that I'm here. So I know that me starting this podcast or me starting Plan B or whatever it is the affirmation that I need to take. And I know that whatever unravels will be the next shirt that I need to put on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna unravel one shirt. Here go another one. Unravel that. Keep unraveling until you get to the Coogee sweater of your dreams.
That was a Detroit shout out. Coogee sweaters now. Forever living better now. Coogee sweaters now.
So Amber, no, okay. So back to you. So I would say too, through your whole journey, what I've seen, and I think what happened when you went to that country day school, a couple things happened there. You know, it was definitely open to spirituality, but I also look at you as having an abundance mindset. I really see how abundance has played a huge part in your life, and maybe you didn't realize it, but you literally embody abundance. And abundance isn't just money. Abundance isn't just money. I know that me and another friend. So Amber had been traveling before influencers were anything. Amber was going to Bali back in 2007. What year was that?
Listen, before Instagram.
Before Instagram, you was in Bali. Like, what year was that?
I lived more before. No, I didn't go to. That was Fiji. I was in Fiji in 2007. Yes,
this girl was in Fiji, and she was putting it on Facebook. I'm like, what? Like, I didn't even have my passport in 2007, and Amber is out here like living a good life, and you know, and it was authentic though. It wasn't even like a put on. It was like, oh, I'm literally in Fiji, so I'm gonna just take a picture and I'm gonna show I'm in Fiji. Like it wasn't to stunt, because it wasn't any stunting in there. And then you took that into your career in marketing. I know you had a career in marketing for a little bit, right?
Well, so Fiji, Paris, like all these travels, that was marketing. And then when I got into Cane and Couture, that was Korea, where I was manufacturing, China, like all of these other trips. And yeah. And this was before the gram and before it was like the it thing to do. So that's interesting. I guess I'm thinking about this as you're saying it.
Amber, my mind was blown, because I was like, what is she doing? I'm like, where's Amber in Fiji? What the hell is Fiji at? And I just remember you living that life and making it look so easy. And that was a huge, you have no idea how much that inspired me. Like, you literally inspired me because like, I know her. If she could do it, I can do it.
Wow.
So how has that, now that you realize that you've always had an abundance mindset, how does that play into your life today?
Yeah, so you're full of good questions.
I'm getting you with these questions. You thought you were going to get me.
Right, okay. So it's been intentional. Actually, it's touching to hear you say that because if I look at kind of, we all have generational things that are passed down to us, right? Mm-hmm. And our set point is what it is until we adjust it intentionally and correct our environments to adjust where we are, where we go back to, where we fall back into naturally. And so, I come from a beautiful family, but there's a lack mindset within my family. And so this is a part of why I had to get into those books at such a young age, because I recognized that I didn't want to have that mindset. There was a love mindset. There was a loving heart. There was spirituality. There were all these amazing things that my family imparted upon me. But if I look back at my inner child and I have a talk with her, I had to talk her out of a lack mindset. So to recognize an abundance mindset, it was very intentional for me. This did not come from my family. It didn't come from my family. Always told me I can be what I wanted to be. They didn't put me in a box and say, you have to be here. However, in certain ways, it was like that wealth, that abundance is for those folks over there. Yeah. So that's where the imposter syndrome came from me. And if I have to be completely honest, I still have to talk to myself. I still have to avoid the knee-jerk reactions sometimes that come up when I'm in situations where I'm intimidated by certain people and when I start to feel feelings of lack of self-worth. And when I do that, I know the affirmations that I go to. I know the thoughts that I go to reframe my negative thinking and to lean back into that abundance mindset, because our mind, our thoughts, our feelings cause our thoughts cause our actions cause our results, and this is a cycle. And I recognize that, and I know what I want that cycle to be. I know what I love, I know what I enjoy, I know what I'm used to at this point, and so ain't no going back. Here we are, abundance mindset.
You know that first time you go to Red Lobster, then the first time you go to Cheesecake Factory, you're like, what is this? Because we used to go to Red Lobster for birthdays and graduations.
You know, it was funny. That was my middle school graduation trip, was to Red.
Yes.
That was lunch. After graduation.
Yes. I was at that's Red where you go to celebrate.
To cheesy biscuits.
Yes. And that was abundance back in the day.
It was. Oh, how we have evolved.
Yes.
But yeah.
No, I like that though. So then how do you weave that into your coaching and your teachings? Because you as a businesswoman, like I've always seen you as a businesswoman. You've always been an entrepreneur. That in itself is abundance. I don't know. You worked on 9 to 5. Where you working 9 to 5?
I've been a business owner for 16 years.
That's
now.
What I'm saying.
And I'm only 30. No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, since you were 23, you've been a business owner.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself is so empowering for so many other people. What would you tell somebody right now who wants to make that transition? And they may be 30, they may be 40, they may be 50 years old. Listen to this. Yeah. What would you tell somebody? Number one, because the first thing is not too late. That's the first thing I'm gonna tell you, right? It's never, there's not a day, as long as you got breath in your body, it's not too late. But what would you tell them about establishing an abundance mindset, or what is a key to establishing an abundance mindset?
Maximizing on your strengths. If I look at some of the best entrepreneurs that I know, they might not be the smartest, they might not be the most connected, they might not be the prettiest, but they know what they are and they build on that. And they create their circle and they attract other people that can relate to their story. They connect with them. They feel a need for them. They recognize a pain, and they are vulnerable enough to understand what that pain felt like for them, and then connect with other people, and they solve a problem for them. And it's off to the races after that. Like I would definitely say that if you look at so many successful businesses, I mean, you can be a franchise owner, you can be influencer, you can be an athlete, you can be like, think of athletes. Athletes, they might be they're not a lot of athletes that are also super I don't want to say that. That doesn't sound good. But I'll just say it because I already said it. But like there may be some athletes that are really physically stellar, but they might not be as intellectual. There's some athletes like Chris Webber who went to Country Day, shout out, who was both, right? We don't always get that. But like, but those folks knew how to build on their strengths. Then you look at Steve Jobs. He probably has not an athletic bone in his body. Did Steve Jobs try to go and be a football player? No, Steve Jobs built on his strength, and he built his people around him, his tribe of geeks who knew how to recreate the world, tap into their creativity, and create what has ultimately changed our reality.
Changed literal reality.
By not comparing themselves to the athletes or not trying to be the athletes, by being, like you like this word, authentic. That's it. But when we are able to lean into our authentic magic of what makes us us, and really start to tap into that and really start to not just do it for ourselves, but connect with other people. Because ultimately, you can't do business for yourself.
Can't.
You do business for other people. You help other people. When we recognize, you serve other people. And when you recognize that and lean into that, that's where I think the most successful business owners come from. I'm relating it back to business owners, but you asked me the question initially around.
No, it's to the person that's listening to this who, what would you tell somebody, again, any age, that wants to develop an abundance mindset?
The abundance.
And I think you were going on the right path.
Well, so recognize the abundance of who you are instead of focusing on what you're not. Because what I'll say as a positive psychology practitioner, because I am one, like, we have a negativity bias as humans. And what we often do is we focus on the negative. Think about the comments on your Instagram. You can have 10,000 great comments, but somebody comes in with that wrong one negative comment, and it can just really get to you. Yeah. And you focus more on that one negative comment than on those 10,000 great comments. Well, this is human nature. This is what's called our negativity bias, and we tend to focus on the negative, and the negative is louder and more attention grabbing than the positive. And so when we recognize that, we really have to take that and use that understanding to recognize, okay, I'm focusing on the bad when all this good is around me. Yeah. Like, I could focus on my lack. I have lacks. I have deficiencies. I'm not perfect in any way. I started at 15 and I still got stuff to work on. We're not always will. You know what I mean? But like, focusing on the positive, focusing on my strengths, that's the abundance mindset. I think that's what my advice would be, to focus on what you're good at and be willing to work on where your weaknesses are in whatever way you need to in the background, but don't let that take over your focus on your strengths.
I think, and I wanted to bring that up, and thank you so much for that answer, because I wanted to bring that up because I'm in a place, I wanted to answer for me because I'm in a place right now where I haven't worked for 2 years. I'm like, shit, I have not worked for 2 years. And I'm happy. I'm like the happiest I've been. And I'm like, even if somebody asked me today to take a picture for Vogue magazine, the cover of Vogue, I would be like, I decline, because there's somebody who loves photography that would mean something for her. I would take the picture, take the money, and be empty. But
that leads me to so many questions, but I'll save that for another time.
But sitting here and doing this podcast with you, and the potential of somebody reaching out and saying, Elton, I love the podcast with you and Amber, that is worth 10 Vogue covers. That is worth $10 million to me, because I know that it is my purpose to help others. And the money will come. The coins will gather.
Because you've been there and you know that.
Yeah, but I think that this is fulfillment, and this is everything that I do, every piece of content I put out is another brick in the empire I'm building to help others. So, I just wanted to make sure that people know that the abundance is within you. Like, there's so much abundance that's just within us. I was listening to this YouTube channel. I was watching this YouTube video of this guy named Derek Grace. You know him? He is dope. He's this tattoo. He has tattoos all over his
Derek.
face. And he is an entrepreneur. He's just so authentic. And he was saying that he teaches so many other people to find their own authenticity. And you would think he was like a spiritual coach, but he's not. He low key be hitting on spiritual stuff. But he was saying that one of his top performing students has like a pit bull wellness company.
For pit bulls?
Yeah, like a pit bull, like teaching people how to take care of pit bulls and like reframing the negative stereotypes of whatever. He's the pit bull whisperer. And he was saying that he built a whole business around a passion of loving pit bull dogs. And so whenever somebody has questions about pit bulls, how to buy them, how to breed them, are they safe, whatever it is, he is literally the pit bull whisperer. And
now, Derek Grace could have said, I don't know how to X, Y, and Z, but he said, I know how to pit bull.
Yeah, that's one of his students. So he teaches people how to become entrepreneurs.
That's amazing.
So yeah, so it's just it is something that that I want to get into too. Like I feel like now, because I'm developing the abundance mindset, because I stepped out of just saying, oh, I can do photography and it's my passion. I used to love it, but now I'm like, the world is literally mine. If I wanted to make a board game to teach people how to manifest, I can just put that out into the universe, and the universe will be like, okay, we need a manifestation board game. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Watch out for it. It might happen. Mm-hmm. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
these are some of your transferable skills, though. If you think about it, as a photographer, you recognize the beauty in a situation. Mm-hmm. And you understand how to capture it.
I see the beauty in everybody.
Those skills into a manifest board game, to me, makes sense. And it's a part of what we need to recognize also. When we move on, when we decide to pivot, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yeah. What are the transferable skills that you can take with you? There is magic that you created in being a photographer. And even though you don't want to exercise that ability to be a photographer and as your profession anymore, what are the core underlying skills that you can take with you and the passions that you had that made you passionate about photography to get you to as successful as you were, that you can transfer over into this next situation? Like, what I would encourage you to do is to think about that and not just step away completely from all of that just because you don't want to do photography anymore.
Yeah, and that's what I'm learning about. That's a beautiful message, especially about transferable skills, because that also goes to transferable traits and energy. When you talk about shadow work, it's not about letting go, it's about integration. And I realized that just recently, like in the last week, that I need to integrate everything that was Elton that I'm trying to run away from. Don't run away from it, because that's equivalent to sweeping it under the rug. Mm-hmm. And it'll keep coming up. It'll project out. It'll come out as triggers and whatever. Mm-hmm. So I've learned to do that. And so yeah, to your point, what I saw as a photographer is that I see the light in everybody. Mm. And so now, as a podcast host or YouTuber or even a coach, I see the light in everybody. So I can see your light as I walk through. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so I'm not going to let the skills go. I'm not going to let that skill go, but I'm going to put it into something that really serves me. And fun fact, I shot Amber's wedding in Grenada.
You did?
Yes, I shot her actual whole wedding.
And this was was this the first
this is one of my first international. Yeah. It was probably like, if not.
And then he blew the F up. And I was like, oh my gosh.
One or two. Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. So it was popping in these international photography streets.
But that's that muscle that we build that gives us confidence in stopping to savor and celebrate our wins without just, again, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Like, you could ignore or overlook so many of the things that you accomplished as a photographer, but that would not do you any justice, because that's a part of what built you and who you are. And even though you don't want to do that function anymore, you still have that ability, and you can still take from that confidence that you built and take that into this, which I'm sure that you have, right? Yeah. Right. But I think sometimes we get so, when we pivot, we often get so turned off by what we used to do, or we put it's our shadow. We put it in our shadow, and we don't embrace the wholeness of who we were. Even if I was that thotting and bopping teenager who then became, which I was kind of thotting and bopping. Who became, I wore a Gigi Hunter dress to prom. That's another story. But like embracing that wholeness with, not wholeness, wholeness without shame and with understanding of what can I take with me to the next level. I think that's a part of what makes our pivots the most powerful.
Yes. I think that is, and the pivot is scary, especially at 40. We're less than a year. Listen,
Who 40?
Me and Amber's birthdays are 4 days apart. I'm March 5th. She's March 9th.
But I'm the older. 1995.
I am the older in this situation. She's not going to argue with that at all. I got 4 days on you.
You got 4 whole days.
I got 4 days on you. But no, Amber, like I think that is, this pivot is so interesting. So I want to ask, as we get to wrapping it up, because we're approaching an hour. I like to keep my episodes under an hour.
Oh my gosh, we've been talking forever.
Yeah, I know.
Y'all still listening? Hey, y'all.
But as we get to wrap up, I guess I do want to touch on the many businesses that you do and what caused you to help all these people, and not even just help, but what caused you out of yourself? Because you had to come out of yourself. And a lot of the opportunities that you have now, you, like I said, you just took like 30 mothers and daughters to Morocco. I don't know if that was necessarily specifically on your vision board, and you work with a ton of schools in Harlem. I don't know if that was specifically on your vision board, or was it? Like, how are you manifesting these different career opportunities versus what's actually on your vision board, what you actually want?
Intention. It was on my vision board.
Oh, boop. There it is. So then that's
my
that.
Vision board classes, y'all. Let me tell you about them.
Oh, you have vision board classes? Oh, we got to tell me everything you do. You do.
Certainly do.
You do quick weaves, vision boards, manifestation.
Not quick weaves.
She make fish dinners.
I make fish dinners. But can I say I actually did do weaves in college? Anyway, that's a whole other story.
Get your quick weave in your vision board course.
Yo, I'm dynamic, y'all. So not stepping out of myself, I would actually say it was stepping into myself. I would say that that's one of the boldest things that I have ever done, to step away from what others expect of me, or the easy. I was never one to take the easy way out. I will do the road less traveled. I did not have a problem with that. I have recognized that from the early 2000s, doing things before other people were doing things, that like there are ways that I'm a silent trendsetter, and I've never been very like flossy about it, but like before, like this coaching has come about, and it's like this thing that's like in now, but I've always been that friend that people have come to share their deepest and darkest secrets, to get to have someone ask them powerful questions to pull the answers out in them. I've never been one to should on people. You should do this and you should do that. I've been more of a listener and more of a question asker to help uncover what it is in someone that is most important to them. And so I think these businesses came from stepping into myself and getting to know myself better. I feel like the better I get to know myself, the more I can help others. The more that I connect with other people. I'm an only child from a single family home, and struggles with my father in the 80s, in Detroit, and drugs and all of that, like all of these things that I've gone through. I think for a while I was ashamed of my story, because in Detroit Country Day School, in the elite private university that I went to, and all of these like different settings, like these weren't things that were like the popular way to be. It wasn't like, it wasn't something to necessarily be proud of. But when I did my own shadow work, and when I recognized like embracing the wholeness of who I am and of what I bring to the table, and that it doesn't have to look like everyone else. Like I used to model, and I was like, I'm not the best model. Like I could take a picture, but I can really do video much better. I really like engaging with people. I really like having conversations, and being bold enough to recognize that about myself, instead of being like, but everyone models. And
Amber's like 5'10" and gorgeous and skinny and gorgeous and.
But I don't take as great pictures thank you for that though. I'll receive that. I'm learning how to receive, but I recognize that. Like, again, leaning into my strengths, because I could sit and be like, my pictures aren't as great as Tyra makes his pictures, or I could be like, but I'm a beast on camera and I can have a great conversation and
what you good at.
love talking to people and I can bring out the best in people. Like I have to know myself and lean in and step into myself in order to really shine and radiate the way that I'm able to. And then recognizing that gets me so excited, so motivated, so enthusiastic that my business brain kicks in and goes, okay, now how do I share this with the world? And then I just figure it out.
And that's your transferable skill. Your entrepreneurial experience just folds right into your spiritual self.
It does.
I love that.
Aha.
That's an aha moment.
Wait. How does it sound when I say it in the microphone? Aha.
You're gonna love the way it sounds. Well, anyway. Well, we got so like fun. A few minutes left, and this is not the last time you guys are going to hear from Amber.
I hope not,
because we got so much more to talk about.
Can I interview Elton? I want to come back and interview Elton. She's gonna be a fan
favorite. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. I like that.
Drop a comment and let us know if you want me to turn the microphone around and interview Elton.
Are going to do that.
Yes.
So, last thing before we go. I want to ask a question. This is a fun question. If you could go to dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be? Who would you choose? Who is coming to the dinner?
Okay. My first answer is going to be Ratchet. No, it's not, though.
Get to the mic.
My first answer is Big Sean.
I love Big Sean, and he is tapped in.
He's so into.
He is tapped in. He's been reading Wayne Dyer since forever. That's a good one.
And Esther Hicks,
and Esther Hicks, and everybody.
And that's why he would. He would be so much fun.
That is a good one.
He's so in tuned and aligned with the whole conversation. So
and he's an Aries.
Yeah, he's an Aries, but he's a March Aries.
Yes.
And Janae Aiko, his
is
woman,
a
is a Pisces.
Yep.
So can she be his bonus guest?
Okay. Let's stick with Big Sean. Big Sean is great.
I love
that.
Big
Is
Sean.
great. Yes, Big Sean. I agree with that one.
Big Sean. Okay, I got to make this well.
I'm gonna get him on this motherfucking podcast.
Yes.
Believe that.
And I'm gonna get Blooming with Intention, my school program in Detroit Public Schools, with his support. I said it here.
It's done. We manifested this. Y'all check back later, and we're gonna be Big Sean. Hey,
watch
Sean.
Don't believe.
And his last name is Anderson. Sean. Boom. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm here for it. Okay. So Big Sean. And then I am going to
dead or alive too.
Dead or alive. Okay. So this might be kind of trippy, but can I invite Abraham Hicks? Like Esther can come and represent them, but I want her there too because I feel like I need that. Then I need that real spiritual tap. That whole connection. So if you guys don't know, Esther and Abraham Hicks, Esther and
Jerry Hicks. Channel
Abraham Hicks, and it's just all types of truth and greatness.
I like this dinner,
friend. This dinner?
And I told you me and Esther had the same birthday, right?
You did.
And Joel Osteen. March 5th kind of goes off.
That's crazy.
And me and Esther, same freaking birthday.
I love that.
So I'm like,
Joel is my boy.
I have to be a speaker about this shit because my birthday twins are both.
I'm gonna cheat and say you have to be there too. So then you're my extra. Okay.
So we got Esther Hicks, we got Big Sean. This is a good dinner. I want to be at this dinner. Who's this third one?
Okay, who is this?
I want to be at this dinner.
So the third one would be. At this point, I gotta go political somewhat. I need somebody who can make some moves in the room and make some connections for all of the good ideas that we come up with and all of the great energy that's there. I'm gonna say, is it Michelle or Barack? Can this be a couple's dinner? I need Janae and Big Sean. I need Jerry and Esther, Janae, Big Sean.
You can only choose one.
I'm gonna invite Michelle Obama.
I know you're gonna say Michelle.
But and Barack might be the head, but she is the neck and she's turning it. I love me some Michelle Obama.
Michelle is gonna be
and I
one.
feel like the most incredible, powerful conversations that we would have at that dinner, and then what would come from it. Because I don't just want want people who are going to have good conversations, but I want action after this dinner.
I love your dinner. You have a great dinner. I love it. I really love
And
it.
Elton Anderson.
I will be just coming in through, bringing off dropping off the napkins.
What? What? You would be sitting right next to me, kicking me under the table, going, like, "Is this happening? We've been dreaming this up since we were 10. Is this happening?" That's what we have.
We would lose our mind. Well, Amber, thank you so much. I love your dinner. I love this conversation. I love you. Period. I love you. So, yes, kiss the headphones. So, Amber, where can the people find you?
Yes, so you can find me at The Flow Coach on Instagram. You can find me. My website is quartzwellnesscollective.com. That's QUARTZ wellnesscollective.com. I have a crystal, uplifting gifting crystal and uplifting apparel website called 39quartz.com. And coming soon, by the time this gets out, I hope, I have the Flow and Flourish community built on Mighty Networks. It's my personal growth and development and professional development website and training zone that is on online at, you'll get to it from Quartz Wellness Collective.
My girl got businesses on businesses. It's the abundance for me.
I be doing businesses.
It's the Pisces for me. All right, Amber, thank you so much. And remember that a group of Pisces is called a vibe.
Oh, that's a vibe.
Remember that. So as you guys go on with your days and your evenings and your nights, just remember, trust the vibe. Love you guys, and thank you so much for listening. Remember to be who you are.
Yes, because that's the best you can be.
That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Elton, for having me. This is great.
Bye. Yes, that was so good. I gotta pee.